Hey, Greg Silva here, Black Belt Schools International, Greg Silva Coaching. We're continuing our education on class management and instructor training. Today is more about class management, and we'll just talk about the lineup. When we line up, it's really important that we go deep, not wide. It's sometimes when we start with a smaller school, we have all our people in the front line, start getting a couple more students, and you have a couple more on each end. And then sooner or later, there comes to a point where the kids at the end are really straining to look to see the instructor. And it's very hard for them to stay focused and concentrated if they're trying to look forward and trying to look to the side at the instructor at the same time. Some people try to overcome this. They go, that's an easy one to fix. I'm just going to walk the front line from end to end. Well, that sounds good because we also want to have close proximity to our students. So if we walk to this side, you have close proximity. But the problem is you get farther and farther away from these people. So through time, we discovered it's much easier to line people up deep than to wide. It's much easier to teach and have control. So if I have 5 wide, 6 deep with 30 people, it's much easier than if I was teaching 15 wide and 2 deep. So that's tip number 1. Also, when you are doing this and you go up and down your lines a little, again, you're getting close proximity to everyone. So if you go, again, wide, it's too hard to get close proximity. Going deep, much, much easier. I was teaching a while back in my school, and I started saying, I wonder what it looks like to be at the student's height and point of view. So the class was going on, I had an instructor take over, and I started going towards the end row, and I started getting as high as the kids in the end row. I go, wow, it's kind of difficult to see them. There's kids taller in front. It's harder to see the instructor. And that was kind of a default to the style of martial arts I was doing because we had a tradition of lining up. The higher ranks are up front, and then the white belts are in back, which seems like it's really cool because it gives you extra prestige if you're a higher belt because now you get to go up front. But the poor white belts in the back have a hard time seeing, especially if they're shorter. So then I started lining up. I said, okay, we're going to line up everyone at the beginning of class, and we're going to start with the shorter kids to the taller kids. Of course, we didn't call them that. We had the taller kids to the tallest kids because we want to make sure everyone feels good. And then when we lined up, we would have the shorter kids in the front and then the taller kids in the back. And that kind of solved that. Now you got everyone can see much easier. But the challenge is that some kids just love to be in front. So we want to give everyone an opportunity. So we started that way. Shorter kids up front, taller kids in the back. Easier for me to see everyone. Easier for everyone to see me. We'd do a couple of drills, and they would rotate. The front row would go to the back row. Everyone would move forward. The whole idea with this is just giving everyone a chance to be in the front. So everyone has a chance to be in the front line. Everyone has a chance to be closer to the instructor who's leading the class. That worked out really great. And then I said, why don't I just teach from the middle? Who says the instructor has to be in the front of the class? So then we'd have several rows facing the center. I'd be in the center, and then we had several rows on this side. And that worked out really good because now I got a chance to real close with everyone. The only challenge is when you turn side to side, you are turning your back to one of the groups. But that's just for a short time. You're going back and forth. What I really like about this type of lineup is it gives me the ability to do friendly competition. Now you've got one side of the school competing with the other side of the school. Who can be the loudest? Who can be the lowest? Who can be the fastest? Who has the most intensity? You know what I'm talking about. And then one side's having competition, the other side's trying harder, and it just works really good to pull out the best in everyone. You don't have to say scream louder or ki louder or to kick higher. You just have to say, man, this side has some really awesome high kicks. I love it. This side's going to just rise to the occasion, and their kicks are going to get higher and get better. Then I decide, hey, let's just make a circle. Now everyone's in the front. So, I would teach from the center of the circle. I could see everyone. This gave me the opportunity to do certain types of fun drills. So it's easy to get a partner. So I just want to say there's options. Not one has to be used all the time. Sometimes we line up, everyone facing forward, or nice and deep, not too wide. Next time when they come in and go, okay, we're going to line up a little different today. I want half the school over here, half the school over here, straight lines, everyone face towards me, and now I'm in the center. Or, hey guys, make a huge circle. Now everyone's in a big circle, everyone's in the front line. So those are just different options. One thing I do like about lining up is I love to get everyone, and I talked about this in the main video, at a height of enthusiasm. So they're energized, they're empowered. That usually comes through motion. In other words, motion creates emotion. So one of the things we naturally do is if I say line up, everyone runs to the line, that running, that clapping, then I'll say set, everyone claps their sides, it yells sir. That's all empowering me. It's state management. It's Tony Robbins 101. If you want to get in a peak state, you have to have the physiology of someone who's in the peak state. So you're running, you're yelling, your back's nice and straight, your eyes are forward, your shoulders are back, and that leads to developing a student that is ready, high enthusiasm. One of the charts I did when I did the instructor college is when everyone comes into school, they're just at a compliant level. You say line up, they line up. You say sit down, they sit down. You say jump and jack, they do a jump and jack. It's not that they're super energized or anything, they're just being compliant. Instructor says, student does. When you start using state management and you run to lines and you clap and you get all that motivation, you get kids now that are already beyond compliant. Now they're energized. So they're naturally putting forth more effort. Super important. Line up different strategies and make sure that you're working on state management for the first couple minutes of class, just so you elevate their level of enthusiasm. Next, and I love this, let's train. When I say my students, are you ready? They all stand up and go, let's train. That is totally awesome because, again, now they're not just compliant, they're yelling, hey, I'm ready. I mean, just bring it on. This may be a tough class. You may be challenging me, but bring it on. Let's train. So just try that. Kids are sitting on the edge of the mats. You say stand up, they stand up, you go, you guys ready? And they just yell back, let's train. I have a client in England, Ricky Stafford, and he started doing that with his students. In the first couple of days, pretty good. I mean, he yelled pretty loud. He really worked on their enthusiasm. Now it's just automatic, and they're all enthusiastic. They're all yelling. And you can just imagine you have newer students coming in, you have parents coming in, and parents are kind of used to kids being kids. You know, my kid, he's a good kid. At least I think he is. I mean, he's been locked in his room for 6 months playing video games, but I think he's a pretty good kid. And then all of a sudden they come to your martial arts school. Kids look the same. You go, are you ready? And they yell out, let's train. I mean, where did that enthusiasm and energy come from? Well, it just came from 2 words that they yelled out, but you taught them to do with the enthusiasm, state management, everything changes. Parents love to see their kids doing that. Again, I was kind of being a little bit funny when I said the kid's been locked in his room for 6 months. But that's probably true in a lot of cases. I mean, I had my grandson staying with me a while back, and it was really neat, super kid, but he loved being in his room. He loved playing his Switch, and he wasn't out there often, just yelling, just being a kid, just having fun, getting rid of his energy, just building up a friendship and socializing with other kids. Man, that's what martial arts is all about. It's all about the life skills, but it's also about training kids just to be kids, really enjoying life the way it should be, especially with all the things that are going around with the world. We don't want kids being isolated. We want kids being social. And when they come to our school, they line up, they're having all that fun. I mean, class hasn't even started, and still you're working on their life skills, personality, and character. So I think those are some simple tips, but there's some great tips that will really make a difference in your classes. Plus, by just doing this and watching kids, if you get to a point where you're seeing kids line up and they're not enthusiastic, they're not energized, don't get on them right away. Find out what's going on with them. What type of challenges are they having? Is this just too new where they're just uncomfortable? Work with them. And again, we have to develop them from something they're not used to. Again, if they're the kid that's been in the room, they're not used to this level of enthusiasm and energy. And it's going to take a little while, but it's so important that we teach kids to socialize, have fun, let out the energy, and just be kids. They're not just being kids though. They're being martial arts kids, which is so important because we are real difference makers. I know it's kind of cliche and we say it all the time. We love making differences in kids' lives, but it really, really works. I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen kids change. I've seen kids just become awesome kids because they had a background in martial arts. So the lineup is really important. Just saying let's train is really important. Don't take these things as, well, we've been doing something else for a long time. So yeah, this was kind of entertaining watching Silva do this, but we're not gonna make any changes. Make changes, just try it, see what happens. Maybe you'll even come up with something better on your own because of these changes. And if you do, please tell me. I love learning. Have fun. Again, Greg Silva. I'll send you another video next week.